Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're so glad you took a little time out of your busy day to join, connect in with us. And I want to welcome our panel. We have Susan Jarboe, Linda Baker, and Reverend Linda Burdett has joined me. I'm Kathy Cronin, and I'll be leading our discussion today. But before I do that, let's take a moment to get centered and to go within and just feel that connection together. So dear God, we thank you for being with us. We know that you are guiding us, that your spirit is within and dwells among us. We thank you for the wisdom and the knowledge, and we take this time to be present in this moment. Well, let's take some time to breathe, relax, and release anything that's bothering us so that we can be fully present. Amen. So my topic is today, I picked out of, it's from the Science of Mind March issue, Guide for Spiritual Living. There's something on Easter Sunday, I love to go to sunrise service. There's something about watching that sun peek up over the horizon and that whole thing that just feels so much like the resurrection. And so I saw that the Seaside Church was doing a sunrise service on Easter. And so I went to their service, got up bright and early and watched, and it was raining that day. So we didn't get that beautiful sunrise that I have behind me. But the aspect of that day was just to feel that whole new beginning. And then the drive home and just feel like I just started, this is springtime. So I picked up this magazine. They're basically their magazine, and read some of the articles that were in it. And in the March issue was an article written by Reverend Sally Robbins, who's a retired minister, and this is an excerpt from one of her new books that she's put out there, and it's called Kindness is My Superpower. And it just really caught my attention because recently I was together with my husband's men's group. They had all the women, the spouses, and together. And the topic came up is, what's your superpower? And thinking about what my superpower was, well, I'm really well organized. I'm pretty, just analytical. I guess that sort of falls into this. And then I read this about kindness is my superpower. And I wanted to share her thoughts on that thing. And as we think about what's your superpower? So what she talks about in here is, we frequently attribute superpowers to our childhood heroes like Superman or Wonder Woman, or now it's the modern Marvels and all those Iron Man and all those people that are, what are their superpowers? And um, you know, what is my superpower and how to use it for good? How do I use what my superpower is for good? So just as the superhuman strength and X-ray vision were Superman superpowers, she said I could look for new ways to use my superpower to pay kindness forward to every person who crossed my path. And the author of this realized that her superpower was kindness. And so some of the things she shared about having that as her superpower, she said, she shares about on her second date with who is now her husband, the waiter who served them exemplified great customer service. He was very attentive, but not intrusive. He was knowledgeable in answering their questions. He was about the menu. He was very patient with them. And he said that, recognizing that this was sort of a budding romance, he made it clear that they could linger as long as they want because he sensed that they were doing this. So what she said was, after leaving a generous tip, she asked the server to send the manager over. Well, immediately the server's thinking, oh, something's wrong, right? So a look of fear crossed his face and she said, don't worry, it's good. So when the manager arrived, the author told the manager how exceptional experience thanks to the extraordinary service of this waiter. He's a real asset to your restaurant. I know as a manager, you hear mostly negative comments. So I wanted you to hear something positive about a great employee. And so the manager thanked her. And when the waiter came back and thanked them as well, you made my week by doing that, he said. This simple act of kindness already reaped rewards. So it was something like that, is that we can leave a generous tip and we can give them a compliment. But when you can go that step further to get them recognized, that means so much more than down the line. And I know we do Disney cruises, and on that, they always give us an evaluation at the end of the cruise. And the wait staff always says, every time they service, have we met your needs? Have we done outstanding service? So they are looking for getting an exceptional rating. And they've shared with us is that feedback comes back to them. And that helps them move up in their positions by getting that out there. So sometimes that little bit of kindness, you could say a thank you or things like that, but sometimes giving them that recognition is taking that kindness a little further. And so as she goes on, she talks she would always reward great service with a generous tip and then a thank you with the service and manager. So what is the power of unexpected kindness? The former U.S. Senator and Nebraska Governor Bob Kerrey once said, unexpected kindness is the most powerful, least costly, and most underrated agent of human change. What if more of us committed to making kindness our superpower? Would it make a difference in the world that seems to thrive on meanness? Kindness makes a difference. So she shared a story that she read in social media about a bookstore manager who basically ran an LGBTQ bookstore, and he received a call, and the caller tells him, he might be gay and is considering self-harm. So the manager at this bookstore talked to this guy. He answered questions. He tried to be encouraging. He made it sound, but he maybe sounded a little frantic. Another customer, there were customers in line, but he was still trying to give time and attention to this person on the phone who was threatening self-harm or considering it. One of the ladies who was in her 50s, who was a lesbian, says, it's my turn. She took the phone and talked to the person. And then other people in this line took the phone and talked to this gentleman on the phone, encouraging him. And by doing that, nobody knew who this person was. Nobody knew anything about it. They just knew this person was struggling with their sexual identity, and they shared with them their experiences and words of kindness. So the act of kindness shown by the bookstore manager and his customers that day made a difference in that caller's life. So the philosopher Aesop once stated, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. I discovered that kindness can also have a rebound effect. And one of her stories that she shared, she was a small business owner and she was having some financial difficulties. It wasn't doing so well at that point in time as she had expected, and she was a little behind in repaying her small business loan. So being proactive as possible, she made an appointment with the bank manager to explain her situation and asked for a small extension on the loan. He looked at my file and got quiet. And she said, I feared the worst. Then a smile came across his face. I remember your name, he said. You helped my wife a few years back. He recalled how his wife, who was in college at the time, called me to ask if she could interview me about how to break into business. I agreed to the interview and shared my business knowledge with her. She went home and told her husband, how inspired she was after our meeting. That meeting with you helped my wife start her career, the manager told the author. He authorized a brief loan extension, which was all I needed to get my payments current. Kindness begets kindness. So it's after she was at a conference at the National Speakers Association, and what she shared was at the conference closing luncheon, all attendees sat in random seats, and I sat next to a woman. After a brief conversation, she leaned over to me and said, "I know what you're thinking. You're looking around this room and wondering if you can do this. You're probably thinking, what can I say that will make a difference in people's lives? What can I possibly add that hasn't already been said?" She agreed. The woman nodded in agreement. How had she read my mind? And this woman that was giving her encouragement said, "You have your own unique voice." She told me, "And your own story that only you can tell. No one else in the world can tell it like you. You were born to do this." Her act of kindness was the gift I needed to launch a new career. So change the world one act at a time. Morgan Freeman asked, how do we change the world? One random act of kindness at a time. When we muster the courage to choose kindness, we can be the catalyst for real change. And as the Dalai Lama once said, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. So claim kindness as your superpower and watch the world around you change for the better. So I thought this was just very unique and saying, thinking about a superpower and how I thought myself as an analytical, but making a change in the world and being kind makes everything go around. The world just moves so much easier. My life works easier when I'm kind, if I express that. Sometimes I can remember being, like going to a drive-through at a restaurant, fast food place, and the person at the window collecting my money, giving me my food as I was leaving, just going, "God bless you." That just made my whole day. That little statement just made my day. It was something I needed to hear. Or, another time, just somebody saying, well, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Like I'm probably not going to be there tomorrow, but that's a great way to encourage people to come back. Going through the checkout, as the cashier is doing, asking them, how is your day today? Are you having a good day? Or just being, just being interested in them. They're standing there for hours and have processing people and not being seen. So just to see somebody, just to see that person and do what they're going to do. And one of the things is we'll ask people, how are you doing? And I heard a different way of doing that is, are you fine today? Is this day today, or how well are you today? Gives them the open thing, because most people, as you go, how are you doing? And go, oh, fine. But how can you get them engaged into that conversation? Because maybe they do want to talk a little more than just, oh, it's fine. So I just feel like that the more that I can say the please and thank yous, and I appreciate what you've done, and the attaboys with people that came into my life. And some of it is that change and kindness is changing my point of view. I just recently, in looking at my point of view on something, and I've always, like, my husband comes home from work and I just see him come home, and now I just see him, it's the end of his day and he's had a full day, and I appreciate that aspect. It's changed my whole aspect. It's like recognizing that he needs that time to go and unwind, to go down, rather than he's not paying attention to me. It's like he needs that. And how I can be kind there is just recognizing he needs some unwinding time rather than giving me, I've been home all day and I want his time and attention. It's like give him being kind and give him that time to have a moment or two. So I want to open this up to the panel is, how can you make how can you make your superpower be kindness, or what is it that you do to, make the world become a kinder, softer, gentler place? So who would like to share first?
You got my attention, Kathy.
Okay.
Well, I have a couple feelings about that. Uh, One thing, I'm kind of reaching out beyond myself now, in the sense that when I get surveys in the mail, like for instance, when I go to the doctor's office or have had a physical therapy session, there more and more surveys are coming in, written surveys, and they want opinions. So I had a physical therapist that worked for me for a really long time, dedicated, and I just went whole hog into that survey every time they'd send me one about her, and to the point where I would say, this woman does such a good job. You should definitely give her a promotion and a raise. And I was sincere about it, really, because she was very patient and worked with me. And so now when I get surveys about anything, yeah, I do like to do it in a written form, which is above and beyond doing it on a personal level. But one thing that I've always done, that I'm attracted to, if I ever go to a conference, a luncheon at a conference, you walk in the room and there's big round tables. I always look for the table with just one person sitting at it, and go over and join them. I always, anywhere I go, I look to see the people that are by themselves, because I feel like that's really an opportunity to help people feel included. I like to do that. And something else I've always felt is people when they're down and out, if they've been sick or just depressed about something, and I hear about it, it's the reaching out. I want them to feel like, well, I've got your back. I'm on your side. Let's just um, it's the um, Paul Simon and Garfunkel song, "Bridge Over Troubled Waters." Um, uh, let's let's do this together. Let me help you through that. It's that I think is a superpower. At least that's what, when it comes up and I just get that feeling in myself, it's just overwhelming. And uh, it's a good subject. I like where you take me to.
Thank you for sharing that, Linda. Anybody else? Susan?
Well, this is a good subject because I'm ashamed to say I have not always been kind. I have been more indifferent or neutral. I mean, it isn't that I've been chronically mean or anything, it's just being obtuse. And the reasons for that, of course, are because I'm thinking about myself. And so I really like the idea of, say, before I go out the door every morning, saying, today I'm going to be kind. And you're calling it a superpower. Just that label makes it easier. Yeah. I was thinking too of why aren't people more kind? Why aren't people kinder? And for some of them, it could be, well, they're just focused on themselves, like I have been. But it's also time. It can take time to be kind. And we are people who are, particularly in the United States, many of us are rushing around doing things. I've got to pick up the kids at soccer practice. I have to stop at the grocery store. And so you don't take the time to chat with someone or give someone a smile because you don't have time, or rather you think you don't have time. And so in encouraging people to be kind, which I think is one of the few mandates we actually have in this world, I think if people can become more aware of how they are using their time and where we might incorporate intentionally kindness in our lives.
Thank you. Good topic. I was recently in a long line, and there was a baby crying and just screaming at the top of its lungs. And the parent it was a young woman trying to hush the child, and everybody's in this long line. And my mother-in-law happened to be in the line with me. We were both shopping. And I turned around and I said, well, this brings back memories. And the woman behind her said, oh, no kidding, I had twins. And then all of a sudden, everybody in this line is talking about crazy things that happened when they were parenting. And the young mother, the baby was still screaming. I mean, we're talking over the baby. And the woman who's holding the baby, tears just started running down her face. She said, oh, thank you, thank you. She felt like we were doing that to comfort her, which I'm sure she was comforted. And I know the energy on the line changed. It wasn't a thought of, here's my superpower. It was seriously a comment that I made to my mother-in-law that was overheard by somebody else who reacted. And it was just this chain of love. It was amazing. The whole energy shifted. Even the cashier who was trying to deal with this whole line calmed down and relaxed and was smiling. And it is a superpower, whether I'm consciously using it. Kindness is a contagion. And when one person commits it, right? Commits kindness. Oh, there's kindness. Then everybody else has an opportunity to jump on that too. And I think one reason why people aren't kind is because it feels vulnerable. They don't know the people around them. They're in an uptight situation. The guy behind them is breathing funny, like he's having trouble with anger. It can be anything. But when somebody says something, and this was not me trying to diffuse the situation, which I will do, if I'm aware it's really tense, I'll reach out. But it was really just a comment I made to my mother-in-law, and it exploded all over the place. Even as we were leaving, people were saying goodbye and have a blessed day. They say that here, have a blessed day. And it was great. It was like all of a sudden we were all friends because I said something, and all this happened. Anybody could have said it. It didn't need to be me. But what an example of kindness as a superpower. Tony Robbins tells this story, and I've had the video, I've used it in counseling, of a woman at a parade. They were at a parade, and this guy was very tense and very upset and actually planning on shooting the president. And it's a true story according to Tony Robbins. But an older woman came up to the man and asked him if he could help her, if he could, help her find a spot to see it or something. and she held on to his arm. And he was so moved by that he did not take the shot. Now, he did eventually try and shoot the president. I don't remember the name, but he was put off after planning this for months and months out of the kindness of a woman who approached him and told him she needed his help, and it changed everything. We've all heard stories about people who have secretly been planning to go and kill themselves, and somebody has shown them kindness or said something and totally changed their energy. Those of you who are Facebook friends with me might know I run a group on Facebook called Getting It Right, where I post stories and articles and comics from all over social media that are about people doing good things for other people. And sometimes I post on it every day, and sometimes I'll go weeks without posting on it. But I've had a couple of people, one I knew, one I don't even know who he was, ask me if I was okay when I wasn't posting in it, and tell me how much that meant to them, having on social media something really positive. And you don't even know how your kindnesses affect the world. One more thing I want to say is I feel in my heart that a part of my purpose is to help create or mature kindness towards our children, our younger generation. I feel like so many people completely discredit them or ignore them or even get in their way as they're trying to move forward because they don't understand what they're doing. I hear all the time, I wasn't allowed to sit in front of my computer for 3 hours. I had to go outside and do chores. And if I didn't milk the cow, I got beat to within an inch of my life, as if that was a good thing, right? And my comment in my heart is when you were growing up, you were being prepared for this future. But the children who are growing up today are creating something brand new. And we really need to help them in every way that we possibly can. They are amazing. They have technologies at their fingers that we didn't even dream of when we were growing up. And they have abilities to take brand new technologies and solve problems that we've given up on just like that, if we listen, if we let them, if we empower them, if we are kind to them. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, thank you, Reverend Linda, and Linda and Susan for your input. Anybody have anything else they want to add? So I'm going to add here about superpowers. There's 4 of us sitting here today, and those who are watching and seeing this videotape must think we have superpowers because we're doing this. However, we're just plain ordinary people, and that's why we invite everybody to come and join us, because we know you have a superpower that you can bring and share, because it is your story. It's your reaction and your thing. And it takes no great thing more than just being that kindness and being a part of this panel. It's just sharing your story, sharing your thoughts on things or your experiences, and just allow your superpower to come out and be a part of this. We are always open to hearing any of your suggestions. We would like, if you liked it, please give us a kindness thumbs up or, a kind comment. We, like Linda Baker says, people are getting surveys, and it gives us that encouragement to continue doing these tapings, because we know we were reaching people that maybe need to hear something at this. So that's our superpower, is to bring this to you, to brighten your day, to share spirit, and to, let God uses this as instrument to reach out to those who need to have this aha moment. So as I share this and I want to say goodbye, just remember to always, if you have any questions or anything, always call the office. At the end of this tape is they give you the number and how to contact it, and or reach out to any of us if you know us, that we would love to hear from you and we like your input. And maybe you'll feel like you can bring your superpower to this panel too. So thank you, everybody, and we appreciate everyone. Bye.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.